Hello everyone, today's video is about the therapeutic benefits of grapefruit seed extract, and I am also excited to tell you about a new podcast that I launched. So I'm going to talk about the podcast first because I'm very excited about it. I'm excited about grapefruit seed extract as well, but a podcast is just so new and fresh. Grapefruit seed extract, it's been around for a while. So as many of you, if you've been following me for a while, would likely know, I've had a podcast for about a year and a half now called the Overcoming Chronic Illness podcast. So all about overcoming chronic illness, and so that's been around for a while. About a month ago, though, I started a new podcast. It's something called, or the podcast is called An Optimistic Future, and basically on that podcast, or for that podcast, I've started interviewing experts and folks who have useful information to share around topics related to a lot of the challenges that we face in this world. In my opinion, we live in a wonderful, beautiful world full of lots of joy and great things, but at the same time, there's also a lot of challenges that face our world. Social challenges, environmental challenges, economic challenges, etc. And when at least me anyways, I don't know if I speak for everyone, but I feel like it's probably a common shared experience. When one sits down and starts thinking about all the different challenges in the world, it can feel kind of overwhelming. And I think a lot of us, for all intents and purposes, kind of get paralyzed into inaction because, I'm only one person. I don't have time to start up. I can't volunteer, 50 hours a week towards this or that great cause. I can't be out in the streets with placards about things that I think are unjust in the world. I can't be, starting up a not-for-profit organization to help every cause out there. And so what is one to do? But in my opinion and to my understanding, there are small actions that we can each take day to day to collectively make a huge difference around a lot of these issues. And so that's the whole nature, the premise of the podcast. It's basically talking about some of the challenges that are out there, but also outlining in each episode simple steps that we can each take to help make a difference. So it could be something as simple as waiting until, if you live in the northern hemisphere, waiting until June before you mow your lawn, because we're all well-intentioned, wanting to get out there, get the lawn looking spiffy in May, nice May weather hits, but by mowing the lawn and doing yard work, we're inadvertently destroying the hiding places of pollinators that aren't quite ready to get out of their hiding places yet under leaves and dead plants and things like that. So something as simple as waiting until June to mow one's lawns. This movement called No Mow May. It's one of the interviews that I've already posted for this podcast. So just something simple like that. It's like, wow, what could be easier than putting off your yard work? It's a simple step. If enough people do it, can actually make a big difference. Save some butterflies, save some bees, etc., etc. So that's the gist of the podcast. Again, just trying to get information out there to folks where we can see, there are these simple steps that we can take, and maybe those individual simple steps won't make a big difference if just one person's doing it, but if a lot of us are, it could make a really big difference. So I've posted a few episodes now of the Optimistic Future podcast. It's available on all the major podcasting platforms. It's available on some of the minor ones as well. I'm also posting them all to I have a dedicated YouTube channel for the Optimistic Future podcast as well. And so if you're interested, please check those out. And this is a not-for-profit initiative. This is just something that I'm doing because I think it's a positive thing. It'll have a positive impact on the world. So if you're interested in this, or if you think this sounds like a good idea, if you could please help me out by, telling other folks about it, sharing the podcast episode, leaving a favorable review, sharing the YouTube video link, those types of things would be really helpful, because the more of us that do these positive things, the better the world is for everybody. So with that podcast plug out of the way, moving on to the riveting topic of grapefruit seed extract. So as per usual, nothing that I'm saying should be construed as medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you need medical advice, please talk to your healthcare provider to get that advice. So the question was, I would be keen for a video about grapefruit seed extract. Should help against biofilms, candida, and other mold stuff. Ellipsis. So thank you for the question. So with grapefruit seed extract, it's something that I use on a very regular basis. There's a formula that I prescribe all the time. It's called dysbiosis formula. It's put together by this company called Signature Supplements, which is from beautiful Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, here in Canada. I have no financial affiliation with that company or with this product. It's a product that I formulated myself. It's not big and fancy. It's got 3 ingredients: wormwood, black walnut extract, and grapefruit seed extract. But I asked the company just to put this product together. They make custom formulas, and again, lots of people, if they're so, or other clinicians can prescribe this, but I don't receive any financial recompense, so I have no financial interest in dysbiosis formula. But it's one of my go-to formulas for folks who are dealing with parasites, large intestine bacterial overgrowth, and/or intestinal yeast. And I found that trifecta of herbs tends to work really well. Now, I'm a big fan of empiricism. I like, knowing what single variables do. But at the end of the day, I've also found historically that single herbs sometimes work well, but oftentimes don't work nearly as well as when they're prescribed in synergy or in combination with others. Then they work synergistically. So I really can't speak to using just grapefruit seed extract alone. I certainly have used it as a single variable in some cases, but I have way more experience using it in combination with these other ingredients. And that trifecta seems to be quite effective for a significant number of patients who work with that formula. For really tough cases, like if I know or suspect that a patient has intestinal parasites, I'll bring in the dysbiosis formula. There's another product by a company called Alpha Science Laboratories called Parasite. I'll dose that as well. I'll bring in Mimosa pudica from usually Supreme Nutrition, but Cellcore and maybe another company or two sells Mimosa pudica as well. I'll get combination in there. But if I just need kind of a kind of single supplement, if you will, for yeast, parasites, and/or large intestinal bacterial overgrowth, just dysbiosis formula on its own can work really well. I've actually had a number of patients over the years where they're on, say, 2 or 3 intestinal formulas, and then they kind of peel them all back. Like they're doing better, they start phasing off them one at a time, and oftentimes it's dysbiosis formula that winds up being the one that they take the longest time getting off of, insinuating that it's the one that is having the most impact. So I believe that the grapefruit seed extract is an important component of that triad, but again, I can't say 100% definitively that it is important, but I believe that it is from my clinical observations. I also use grapefruit seed extract quite regularly in this combination nasal spray that's called BioBreaker. So I've posted quite a few videos about biofilm disruption. Seems to be a popular topic. Folks like asking questions about biofilms, which is great. Keep them coming. Happy to talk about biofilms all the time. This BioBreaker formula has the main biofilm disrupting ingredient in there, or the biofilm disrupting ingredient in there is EDTA, which is a chelating agent that's good at breaking down phase 2 biofilms. It also contains xylitol. It contains grapefruit seed extract. It contains iodine. It's made by a compounding pharmacy here in, again, beautiful Canada, in Ontario, Canada, called York Downs Pharmacy. Again, I have no financial affiliation with them at all. I believe that some other pharmacies might be able to replicate that as well. I think it can come from other pharmacies too, but that's who we order it from. And it is an effective biofilm disrupting formula and just a good kind of broad spectrum antimicrobial nasal spray. Pound for pound, diluted essential oil nasal spray seems to be stronger than BioBreaker in terms of actually killing stuff off, but I think the grapefruit seed and the xylitol and the iodine that are in there kind of work to manage microbes that are coming out of hiding from the biofilms quite well. So usually we'll kind of start with essential oil nasal spray when we're ready to move on to biofilm disruption. We'll sometimes keep the essential oils in there, but in many cases we'll just phase them right over to BioBreaker, and the ingredients that are in there seem to do well on their own. So I have heard of folks using grapefruit seed extract as a nasal spray on its own. I don't have any experience with that, but in combination with the other things in the BioBreaker, I think it is a useful ingredient as well. And then this individual is also asking about biofilm disruption. I'm not aware of grapefruit seed extract having notable biofilm disrupting capabilities. My sense is that if they were to study this, and maybe it has been studied, if anybody knows, please post in the comment section, but I haven't seen any literature on that. If it was going to disrupt biofilms, then I'm strongly suspicious that it would just disrupt phase 1 biofilms, which is good. Phase 1 biofilm disruptors are great, but it wouldn't likely be a very strong phase 2 biofilm disruptor, probably just phase 1. So yeah, I think grapefruit seed extract is wonderful stuff. I hope that this gave the person asking the question a lot to think about when it comes to grapefruit seed extract. And if anybody has any questions on this topic or anything else, please post in the comment section below, and I will leave it there for now.